So Shadow of the Erdtree is coming out in about a month, and maybe you're like me, and you're a real weirdo, you're a real sicko, and you got like a dozen builds already kind of up to 130, 150 in that range. You're like, I'm going to play through the DLC 30 different times with 30 different builds. But maybe you're not like me, and you're a normal person, and you haven't played Elden Ring in a while, but you're excited for the DLC, and you're wondering, what kind of build should I have for the DLC? Maybe you already beat the game, you want to start a new build, right? Fresh character, get it up to the right level, get your gear, get your stats in order, and you're thinking, what do I do? This is my little proposal for you, and my suggestion that you should try a quality build for the Elden Ring DLC. You should make a quality build because it's a whole lot of fun, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why you should do that. But first, did you see that? Look at this. Ice cold. Just sidestepping the transient moonlight. I didn't even roll it. Who cares? I don't even care about it. So, first things first, what is a quality build? Quality build basically just means a build that has an equal amount of points put into strength and dexterity. So, this build that I have on screen right now is level 130. We have 60 vigor, 40 strength, 40 dexterity. I'm also using Millicent's prosthesis in some of these clips, so that gives me an extra 5 dexterity. And I have 15 faith, mainly just to use the bestial incantations that you see here. Stone of Garank, Beast Claw, Bestial Sling. And you can get, like, Bestial Vitality, Flame, Grant Me Strength, all those things. They're just kind of really good utility spells. But a quality build is one that puts equal points into dexterity and strength. This goes all the way back to Demon Souls. There was an upgrade path for weapons where you could... I feel so bad. I feel so bad using Horalu's Earthshaker, but here's multiple clips of me using it. It's the easy button. You hit the easy button, you win the invasions. It's hard not to use it, you know? Insane hyper armor. It's a great Ash of War. It's a really fun Ash of War. Anyways, it goes all the way back to Demon Souls. There was an upgrade path for weapons called Quality, where the weapons would get scaling in dexterity and strength. Scaling basically refers to how much damage does your weapon do. So if a weapon scales off of strength, the more points you put into strength, the more damage that weapon is going to do. For quality weapons back in Demon Souls, that meant that they would kind of reach their potential, their highest damage potential, if you put an equal amount of points into dexterity and strength. And in Elden Ring, it's a little bit different because you can change the scaling of pretty much any weapon, aside from like legendary armaments. If you can put an Ash of War on something, you can change its scaling. And it might not give you like the exact scaling that you're looking for, but you can take pretty much any weapon and put quality scaling on it, which means that it will have kind of an equal scaling in strength and dexterity. So the weapons that I'm using on this build right now are like the Noble Slender Sword. It's just a straight sword. It gets a B scaling, I think, in dexterity and strength. And the good thing about having a build like this in Elden Ring is that you have a lot of options. You have a lot of adaptability. Whether you're doing PvE stuff, you're just playing through the DLC, fighting the enemies, fighting the bosses, or if you're doing PvP. Especially in PvP, a quality build really shines. Because you can use pretty much anything that you can think of, right? I have tons of different physical damage weapons on this build. A lot of different things that I want to try out, level up in the future. And, you know, it's not like you pick one weapon and max out that one weapon's damage, and then you just roll with that weapon for the rest of the playthrough. really it's about kind of sizing up your opponent and thinking like, what tools do I have right now to deal with what's in front of me? So for instance, in this clip, we've got a guy who's got claws. He's using dual twin blades, power stancing twin blades. We've got a mage who's hitting us with a lot of stuff kind of from way out yonder, way out in the wild blue yonder. And so because I have a quality build, I've got a bunch of different options of stuff that I can do here. I have an ultra great sword that has waves of darkness on it for if these guys try and get up close with me. If I want to do some trades, I can do some trades, get a little bit of hyper armor. And I also have some incantations for like a very minimal investment into faith. You get some great incantations with Beast Claw, Stone of Garank. These things don't do a crazy amount of HP damage, but they do a bunch of stance damage and poise damage. It can stagger opponents, whether they're other human opponents in PvP, or if it's enemies, they can stagger them super easy. So you got options. A quality build is all about having a bunch of different options. It's not something that's going to excel with one specific weapon. It's kind of like a jack-of-all-trades physical damage sort of build. These are also sort of nostalgic builds for me. The very first playthrough of my very first Souls game that I ever did was Dark Souls 1, and I didn't know what I was doing at all in that game, but I ended up kind of making a quality build for myself, using physical damage weapons, kind of like a vagabond knight character with a bunch of different swords and axes and clubs and things like that. It's fun. It's just fun for me to have a build like this. Also, look at that parry. Look at the read on that guy. This parry was so disgusting. It was so offensive. That parry was so politically incorrect that the host and his buddy just disconnected. They were like, nah, we're not doing it. They just didn't want to be there anymore. So another really good thing about a quality build, especially with the DLC, is that if you have 40 dex, 40 strength, you'll be able to try out, I'm guessing, most of the weapons that you find in the DLC, at least most of the physical damage ones. And there are, I think, 8 new weapon types in the DLC, which is crazy. There's going to be a lot of stuff to try out. So if you really want to like dig deep into the DLC on the physical damage side of things, you can't go wrong with a quality build. You should definitely try and hit the that soft cap for vigor at 60 vigor. Right now, I've got probably around like 2,000 HP. That's kind of the, like, you can put more into vigor if you really want to, but you're going to get diminishing returns after that. So 60 vigor, 40 strength, 40 dexterity. It's just a real classy build, you know? Just a classy way to play the game. And there are some weapons in Elden Ring that really excel with with quality scaling, but most of the time what you'll find is you'll have a mix of heavy scaling for some of your big heavy weapons, like this duelist great axe that I have, and you'll want to go with keen scaling for other weapons that you have that scale better with dexterity. But it's adaptable, right? You're like Bear Grylls. Adapt, improvise, survive. It gets kind of boring, at least for me, to play the game with just one weapon. And I know some people prefer that, right? They find the blasphemous blade, or they find, Malekith's greatsword, like the guys that I'm fighting right here. And those are fantastic weapons. They're fine weapons. Nothing wrong with using those to beat the game. But I find myself, just because I've put so many hours into this game, feeling a little bored with just using one weapon. So I like to mix it up. I like to switch it up. Once you beat Elden Beast, runes are basically free. There's so many ways that you can farm runes super easily. You can do co-op with people and beat bosses with them. So if you're worried about, like, oh, it costs so much money to buy the smithing stones and to upgrade all these different weapons, it's pretty easy once you beat Elden Beast. And it seems like that's kind of the level range that people are going to be at in the DLC anyways. You've already beaten the main game, right? You've beaten Moog, and you're in the DLC at like 130 to 150. So that's my little spiel about quality builds, how much I love quality builds, and why I'm going to be using one when I go through the DLC when it drops. I'm super hyped for it. I can't wait. I'm going to be doing tons of PvE, tons of PvP, lots of streaming. So catch me here live on YouTube if you want to see that. All right, thanks.